It's a damn good feeling when the dying legacy mainstream media finally catches on to something I've been saying for years. And this is definitely one of those cases. Breaking views. China Incorporated will recycle used white guys. Just the salt in this headline alone is absolutely hilarious because I think these people know that their days are numbered. They know what's about to go down. Even if it's only subconscious, they may not consciously admit it. The salt in this headline, China will recycle used white guys. You should be able to figure out exactly what of the many things I've been saying for years the mainstream media is finally catching up on. This is, of course, the realization that every single time some white guy in the West gets canceled or they lose their jobs to some diversity hire, they get scooped up by China. They're unhireable anymore in the West. But China is like, hey, I remember you. I've covered this so many times. Like the most famous example was Tim Hunt. I think he ended up going to Japan instead of China. But same basic thing. This is why I usually specify like Asia instead of just China, because other Asian countries are poaching Western talent as well. But as more and more, honestly, white guys, as the title implies, lose their jobs in STEM, because they either get canceled or pound me too'd, which leads to getting canceled, or they lose their jobs to diversity hires. China's going to be there to offer them a position. I've been saying this for years. I've seen this happen with people I know. And finally, just now, the mainstream media is starting to notice. It's probably too late to fix it now, but let's see what freaking Reuters has to say about this. American company men may find a savior in China Incorporated as corporations try to make their ranks more ethnically representative. Translation, more diversity hires. Many experienced, if white and older males will find themselves out without a job. So what do you do when you got these guys that are, quite honestly, a lot of times way better than the people they're being replaced with? Because these are the guys who'd still have those jobs if this was up to a meritocracy. So what do you do when you got all this talent just wasting away? Smart people who know what's up are going to find this talent and scoop it up. Chinese companies, deterred from acquiring U.S. firms with valuable intellectual property, can recruit their discarded human capital instead. Wow, seriously, the levels of salt this author is pouring into this article. Oh man, bitter much? You bitter because no one would want you if you lost your job? This is what happens if you are highly skilled and in demand. As soon as a competitor sees, oh shit, this highly skilled person is unemployed right now, people like the author of this article, they will never know what that's like. If you're just a nobody, you're the one that has to send out resumes to a million different companies and hope that you get a job. Once you've actually made a name for yourself in an industry, companies will compete for you. Companies will try to headhunt you. And that's what this is. You got Western companies kicking their best and brightest to the curb to meet diversity quotas or someone got canceled or whatever. These Chinese companies who probably already had their eye on these people, they just jump on it. Like, shit, now I don't have to worry about headhunting this guy away from his previous company. He was just discarded. Sweet. Now we just got to offer him a hefty pay raise and pay to relocate him to China, and we're set. Some of the largest U.S. companies are moving quickly to rebalance their headcount. At Apple, for example, women's make up 38% of workers under 30 in current year -2 versus just 31% 4 years earlier. The share of underrepresented minorities in that group rose 10 percentage points to 35%. Yeah, we'll see what happens when the West hires only on diversity. And meanwhile, China is hiring based on merit. So you realize these Chinese companies, they're also diversifying their workforce naturally through merit. If they were only interested in, like, say, hiring only Chinese people, oh, we don't want diversity, they wouldn't hire these guys. They understand that these guys that the West is discarding are a worthy investment for them. They are naturally diversifying their Chinese companies to become more white through merit, while these Western companies are quote unquote diversifying by just, having quotas, really. Meantime, the employment to population ratio of white men fell from 76% in 1972 to 67% in current year -2. Where are those men gonna go, I wonder? Well, we know the answer. We've been reading this article. The coming year should be a banner one for diversity. California has rolled out quotas for boards. NASDAQ is considering requirements for listings. Companies from Wells Fargo to Google to Delta Airlines have diversity hiring goals in place. They're hiring based on diversity quotas instead of merit. So people who would be the best for the job get passed over. And China is right there to pick them up. Like, oh, hey, this employer in the West is fucking shit. They didn't see the value you would add. We do, though. We actually respect you. We won't treat you like shit. You can come work for us. The goal is to reach new customers and positively transform corporate cultures. Oh, man. If that's the goal, you're doing everything wrong. You are losing customers. These companies are sacrificing existing customers in the hopes of looking more appealing to new ones. And what they end up with is losing their existing customers and not gaining any new ones. Positively transform corporate cultures? The best and brightest in these corporations are striking out on their own because they can't work in these toxic cultures anymore. In the intermediate term, this may translate to net layoffs of older, more expensive Caucasian men. So there are moments when people who are more expensive are only more expensive because they've been there the longest. It's not exactly because they've been, they may not even be worth that much. They've just been there the longest. But a lot of times, the more expensive employees are more expensive for a reason. The guy on who the entire company's payroll, on whose back the entire payroll rests, is going to be getting paid more than whoever's fetching the coffee, for example. And a lot of these companies make the mistake, like when they do layoffs, they lay off these higher paid people who are higher paid for a reason, mind you, and replace them with some interns. And they wonder why everything goes to shit. That's almost what they're doing now. They're firing their well-paid for a reason professionals and replacing them with diversity hires that get paid sub-poverty wages. Let's see how that's going to work out for them in the long term, though. Spoiler alert, not very well. Some of those hitting the streets, resume in hand, will have the value for the right employer. Yes! I'm glad you had, as salty as the author of this article is, at least she recognizes this. Economic research firm Sonicon put the price of intellectual capital of U.S. companies at $9.2 trillion in current year -9. Acquiring that by buying companies will be difficult under President-elect Joe Biden, who is expected to continue the crackdown on Chinese acquisitions. Poaching talent is easier and, in some cases, may be more efficient. So here in the U.S., a lot of contracts come with non-compete clauses. You're not allowed to go to work for a competitor within X amount of time of leaving that job and whatnot. And for all but the most valuable employees, that's very rarely enforced. I've seen people in my industry just quit to go because they were headhunted by an employer. They quit to go work for a competitor. And nothing happens to them because they were just grunt workers, and they didn't have some groundbreaking IP or anything they took with them. But when it comes to China, if China were to headhunt like the most valuable employee in a company, there's literally nothing they'd be able to do, because once the guy is in China, I'm sure it's kind of obvious by now, they don't give a shit about American laws. You could try to sue them all you want. They're not going to care. In the past, some technology companies from the People's Republic had reputations for poaching American experts, extracting trade secrets, and then tossing them back. But those with expertise in AI or international communications are keepers. Yep. That's true. So the whole like poaching American experts and then tossing them back, that's similar to what they do with like say with mergers or buyouts rather. You buy another company and merge them into your own, and then of course you get rid of all the redundancy, quote unquote. So a few people that were employed in the company you acquired may get to stay, but most of them just get fired because you didn't really acquire the company for the people. You acquired them for the IP. You acquired them for that. And then you got your own people who can take over and no need to pay for redundant positions, right? But these guys, yeah, they've been doing something similar for a while now. They would make Westerners offers they can't refuse, and then once they get what they want out of them, they would fire them. In that case, they're no different than an American company, really. But right now, they're holding on to a lot of them because a lot of keepers. Like we talked about Tim Hunt. That dude was like the world's leading cancer researcher, and he lost his job due to some cancel culture bullshit. Everyone on the planet was bidding to get him working for them. And with Chinese retail traders starting to play U.S. stocks, American financial experience is becoming valuable too. Webull Financial, a Chinese-owned trading app that competes with Robinhood Markets, hired a white American dude as chief executive. That's how you do diversity right. China is showing the West how you do diversity correctly. China is diversifying their companies by hiring on merit, and they're going to be better off because of it. That's the right kind of diversity. Meanwhile, here in the West, they're getting rid of their best and brightest to fill quotas, and things ain't going to go well for them. Things ain't going to go well. So Chinese companies that have bounced back from the pandemic might even be able to offer more competitive pay packages. Definitely. That's what happens. That's how they get a lot of Westerners to move over even before they get canceled. It may be a less direct way to get at American intellectual assets, but then companies are made by people, not patents. Again, surprisingly astute observation for someone this salty about the situation. But that'll be the ultimate irony, wouldn't it, guys? If the West just starts completely collapsing because they kicked their best and brightest to the curb at the altar of diversity, and then competitors like China actually knew the value of the people the West was discarding and got them all over there. So imagine if in a few years, all these like old white guys, as this author has been ripping on them this whole article, they end up becoming billionaires working for Chinese companies, and China takes over pretty much every single industry as the West collapses, as their whole woke diversity plan falls apart. The experiment ends in abject failure, and the only ones there ready to take over are China, employing all the people that these Western companies kicked out. I'm going to laugh so fucking hard when that happens. So hard. And you know that China's not going to show any mercy either. They will make all of these diversity hires in the West homeless and not lose any sleep over it. We're in for some interesting times, man. And I've been warning you for years. I've been saying for years that China is headhunting all the best and brightest. We got some serious brain drain going on. The best people in the West are going to work for China. And no one was taking me seriously. No one. I'm just a crazy conspiracy theorist. No. Now the fucking legacy media is finally starting to notice. That's how you know the end times are near. The media always notices when it's too late. So get ready, man. We're in for some fucking hilarity. Oh man, I am so excited to tell you guys right now that finally, after about a year of build-up and shilling, we have launched Blade Devil on Indiegogo, and so far it is doing so well thanks to awesome people like you. If you haven't backed it yet, then please check the links in the description and check out Blade Devil on Indiegogo. You will not be disappointed. Looking forward to seeing you there.